Brethren, we live in a world, as everyone knows, and I'm sure the patriarchs of old, now if you lived back in the Roman times, they would have thought the world and the foundations of civilization are collapsing down around them. If you're involved in World War I, someone, or World War II, they would have thought the same thing. The end is close, real close. But there is a few things different about the cultures today. And I want to go into Psalm 37. My wife and I read after breakfast every morning. We usually spend a couple hours reading. And Psalm 37 struck me as a psalm that divides the wicked from the good and the blessings for remaining faithful. So I'm going to start with the troubles this world seems to be embracing, and they seem to be doing it on a very grand scale, which seems to me, which makes distinction between ages past and what we have now. Now, all of us have been through COVID-19, and we were told, masking, you got to mask. You got to be 6 feet. Closed down schools, churches, even the churches of God, some of them were masking. They didn't want you singing in church. And the list goes on. There's an article, I want to read an excerpt out of an article by Tom Curry, and he is the pastor general, if you will, if I can use that term, of the Church of God Ministries International. And I quote, "Week by week and month by month went by as we were told we all needed to sacrifice our freedoms for the good of all and the nation." Now, bear that in mind. And we did. And now we find ourselves with an additional $10 trillion in debt, a weaponized government, and nearly everything they told us was a lie. It was a lie. The CDC just admitted they screwed everything up. One CDC official, now getting rich from her book, that admits to making up almost everything in the guidelines, including the masks, 6-foot distancing, and closing down the economy, businesses, schools, and churches. People lost their lives, jobs, and homes. Rather than hold anyone accountable, they are given book deals, expensive spots on talk shows, and praise for lying to the public. It is upside down and backwards. They call good evil and evil good. They call right wrong and wrong right, just as Elohim had foretold in Isaiah 5:20. Interesting. Be careful who you put your trust in. What does Scripture say about where you trust, where you should place your trust? Exactly. Elohim only. Here is another one. And if that is not enough, this is more of the aftermath. They got away with COVID. Okay. Now, this is an article from the Prophetic Observer, which is from the Southwest Radio Church Ministries, and it's called Mysterious Fires. While prices continue to rise, fires have destroyed many of America's food processing plants. The latest fires are part of a trend that began last year. This is in the course of 1 year. As of this writing, more than 100 United States food processing plants have been destroyed, damaged, or impacted by accidental fires, disease, or other causes. Here are just a few examples. They give you a list of them. Smithfield Foods, Kellogg's, some big ones, JBS Foods. Then it goes on and on and on with the list of foods. Now, the reader, or I should say the writer, goes on to ask some rather common sense questions. Are we supposed to believe that what we are witnessing is just one tragic accident after another? We aren't supposed to see any sort of pattern here, and we aren't supposed to ask any questions. People sure are getting careless these days because accidents just keep happening time after time. I'm starting to think the liberal world order means America will have empty grocery stores. It's interesting, brethren. They got away with COVID. We all hunkered down, and there was a lot of mom and pop businesses that went under, completely under, because they did not survive. They weren't able to sell their services or their products, and they went under. But the banks, you got to make your payments. So I remember Governor Cuomo from New York. He was demanding these here ventilators. All you need, he quoted, 40,000 ventilators. 40,000. Some of them are $35,000 a pop. And but he was warned about being low on ventilators years before. I mean, that the New York Assembly knew they were low on ventilators. Now this hits. So what he does is he opens up the nursing homes to patients that have this Wuhan virus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. And they were told by these the coalition of nursing homes that we don't have the wherewithal to handle these patients. We don't have what it takes to care for these. This stuff is going to spread like crazy. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. People's loved ones, they died. It's carelessness. It's carelessness. You can, if you were on the receiving end of losing your business, or losing a mother or a father or a son or an uncle or a daughter or a son or a wife or a husband, spouse, you could get pretty angry with this. How about this one, brethren? Now, what I'm going to read is not from third hand or hearsay. This is reprinted from the Congressional Record of the United States Congress, the first printed in Gay Community News, January or February 15th, 1987. And this is how it goes. Now, this is what I'm going to read. This is 1987, this was written. But what I'm going to read is very prevalent today. Now, you think about what's being read here. We will sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in your schools. Anything sound familiar? In your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theaters, bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in all your male clubs, in your houses of Congress, wherever men are with men together. Your sons shall become our minions and do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. They will come to crave and adore us. Women, you cry for freedom. You say you are no longer satisfied with men. They make you unhappy. We connoisseurs of the masculine face, the masculine physique, shall take your men from you if you don't want them. I'm reading excerpts. I'm not reading this whole article. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Instead, legislation shall be passed which engenders love between men, All homosexuals must stand together as brothers. We must be united aristocratically, philosophically, socially, politically, and financially. And if you dare to cry faggot or fairy, queer at us, we will stab you in your cowardly hearts and defile your dead puny bodies. This is 1987, brethren. This is when this was written. And how many years ago was that? 25? You think any of this stuff is coming to fruition? Take a look at our Congress. How many of them in there are gay? There will be no compromise. We are not middle-class weaklings. Highly, and this is how they think of themselves. We are highly intelligent. We are the natural aristocrats of the human race. And steely-minded aristocrats never settle for less. Those who oppose us will be exiled. We shall raise vast private armies to defeat you. We shall conquer the world because warriors inspired by and band together by homosexual love and honor are invincible, as were the ancient Greek soldiers. The family unit. Now, ask yourself about who designed and instituted the family unit. When did that take place? In the very beginning, on the sixth day. Our Creator brought Eve. Adam was in one place. He took, some say of the womb, some say of the rib, but he took parts from Adam and made a woman. And then he brought her to him. And he set her before him. What do you think he said? Wow. Wow. Yeah. Woe to man. Yeah. Whoa, man, yeah. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And then he went on to say something very interesting. Okay, a few verses after. He said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Therefore, a man will leave his mother and father. There was no mother and father. And he will cleave unto his wife. Okay? And the two will become one flesh. Two will become one flesh. This guy has something, that's the beginning of the family. The two become one flesh. What is the results of the two becoming one flesh? Children, family, prodigy. This guy, Smith, says, the family unit, spawning ground of lies, betrayals, mediocrity, hypocrisy, and violence, will be abolished. The family unit, which only dampens imagination and curbs free will, must be eliminated. Perfect boys will be conceived and grown in the genetic laboratory. They will be bonded together in communal settings under the control and instructions of homosexual servants. I think it's supposed to be servants. All churches who condemn us will be closed. That's their goal. That's their goal. Has that happened? Has any pastors or ministers been arrested? Yeah, they have. It's difficult in this country because of the Constitution, but in other countries it is happening. We shall rewrite history. History filled and debased with your heterosexuality and their lies and distortions. We will get rid of it. We shall portray the homosexuality of the great leaders and thinkers who have shaped the world. Imagine that. Which leader or which person or which name do you think comes up the most when people are talking about leadership or greatness? Whose name? Whose name's taken in vain the most? That of our Redeemer. He is the most familiar one. I don't know about other countries, but if you watch any of these trailers from these movies, his name is used all the time. okay? And the great thinkers and leaders. Well, Mr. Smith, our Redeemer, was not a homosexual. They would like to think he is. So this is a thumbnail sketch. This is just a thumbnail sketch of what's happening today. And this world is in for a lot of trouble. So we have a young person here, Jasmine.
We have many young people here.
Oh, okay. And her mom. and Marco, okay. But I remember when I first came in, started keeping the Sabbath and the holy days, I tended to bring out the 16-inch guns and just tell my friends, I'm not doing Christmas, Easter, and New Year's anymore. Boom, you know. All right. So it bothered me in a sense. This was a long time ago, 40-some years ago. I was a younger person. In fact, I was in my 20s, so it was 50 years ago. But anyway, what's going to happen? What's my future going to be like? So to be able to separate myself from this culture and the world at that time was difficult, because you think about friends, you think about your future opportunities, your job, having a girlfriend, getting married. What's all that going to be like? Psalm 37 is, I think, a wonderful song. And it is, I think it is apropos for today. And I think it is a counterpoint to what we just read. I'm going to read the entire psalm. Then I want to go through and I want to pick out certain words that we have done some word searches on and meanings of. And it might be informative to you, very informative to you. Psalm 37, chapter 1. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in Yahweh and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself. This one, I think of this verse quite often. Delight thyself also in Yah, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Do any of us here pray for family members? Would that be the desire of your heart? Delight yourself in him. Commit thy way unto Yah. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. What's he going to bring to pass? The desires of your heart. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light. And that word righteousness is interesting. And thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in Yah and wait patiently for him. Isaiah 40. I think it's Isaiah 40, verses 7 through 11. Those who wait upon Yah shall mount up like eagle's wings. Saying the same thing. Wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Mr. Smith. And maybe Mr. Fauci and the head of the CDC and the whole crew down there. Cease from anger. That's the hard one. Especially when it hits home, close to home. A loved one, you lost your business, you are told you can't do this, you can't keep the feast, you have to work on the Sabbath. Whatever it is, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon Yah, again, he's saying, be patient, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yes, thou shalt diligently consider his place, thinking about, I remember this guy, I remember this Can't find them. But the meek, or the humble, shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. There is a definite dearth of peace in this culture. The wicked plotteth against the just. Now we know that. And gnasheth upon him with his teeth. Yah shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Now, I like in that verse, verse 13, because we are told, and I think it was, I say the book of Paul, my wife says there's no such book as Paul. It's the book of Romans. It's written by Paul. But I think in Paul's writings, as our Redeemer said, they've been given ears, but they don't hear. They have eyes, they do not see, and they have hearts and do not perceive. And 13 says, and our Creator Yahweh, he shall laugh at him, the wicked man that plots against the just. It seems to me, though, the picture that comes to mind is these wicked people, or whoever fits that order, they set up shop, or we just came from a couple of weeks ago, northern New Jersey at a state fair, and Angelo set up tent. I had a camper there. Of course, we set up in a campground. But these guys are setting up their tents and setting up everything on their train tracks. Okay, they don't have eyes to see or ears to hear what's coming down the track. They don't have hearts to perceive anything. They are bent on their own gain. And our Creator sees this, and he's laughing at them. You guys don't see this coming? It's coming. So the train comes down, goes right through, okay, and it's like, now you see them, now you don't. They're here, and they're gone. He laughs at these people. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and verse 14, the wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. That word conversation is interesting. Their sword shall enter into their own hearts, and their bows shall be broken. This is very interesting. And in verse 16, a little that a righteous man has is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but Yahweh upholds the righteous. Yah knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of Yah shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke. They shall consume away. Anybody ever get involved with a fat fire? See what happens when the fat gets into the flames or on the hot burners? Boy, it goes up. The wicked borroweth. Very interesting. Patrick Moynihan, he was a senator. I think it was Moynihan. And he was jading his fellow congressmen about all these IOUs you guys are putting into the Treasury. You're putting these IOUs and taking this money out. The wicked borrow and payeth not again. But the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they shall be cursed of him and the wicked shall be cursed of him and shall be cut off. The steps of a good man are ordered by Yah, and he delighteth in his way. There's that word delight again. Okay. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for Yah upholdeth him with his hand. I remember my little girls. I would have them by the hand. Of course, I would take one step, and they'd take four, and their feet are moving along. And if I didn't pay attention closely, they would sometimes their one foot would turn in a little bit, and they would trip over their foot, and they'd go down. They wouldn't hit the ground, but they would stumble and they would drag their feet. I'd pick them back up. I reckon verse 24 to be a very similar way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for Yah upholds him with his hand. I have been young and am now old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. He is very ever merciful and lending, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil and do good and dwell forevermore. For Yah loveth judgment and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his Elohim is in his heart. Does that bring up another verse about the covenant? There was a problem with the covenant. The problem wasn't with the covenant rules, requirements. The problem was with the people. And he says, I'm going to write my laws in their hearts. Verse 31, the law of his Elohim is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. The wicked watch the righteous and seeketh to slay him. Something to bear in mind. The wicked watch. Yah will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on Yah. Here we go again. Keep his way, and he shall exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. Psalm 91. 1,000 on one side, 10,000 on the other, but not a hair on your head, and it won't come close to you. But you will see what happens to the wicked with your very eyes. Wait on Yah and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee, inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, spreading himself like the green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he is not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace, or well-being. But the transgressors shall be destroyed. Together the end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of Yah. He is their strength in the time of trouble. And Yahweh shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. That verse 40, if you were to look at Psalm 37, verse 7, the angel of Yahweh encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Did you know that we have angels of our Creator camping around us? They are. They are. That word fret in the beginning in verse 1, chapter 37. The word fret is Strong's number 2734, to be angry, or to be aroused, or to burn with anger. Don't get angry. Don't let thyself get angry because of evildoers. Okay? Neither be thou envious against the workers, or jealous, or desire to be like them. Iniquity. Be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. Iniquity here is wrong or evil sin, injustice, or, now think about what we read from Mr. Smith here about the homosexual agenda, or a manifesto. Iniquity. What is morally perverted, warped, or twisted. That's another rendition of iniquity. You look at the word iniquity, all right, but it also means that which is morally perverted, warped, or twisted. Now, also got to remember, brethren, that when our Redeemer came, he brought into focus what the law originally was intended. You heard from old that if you divorce your wife, give her a bill of divorcement. Okay? I'm telling you now, if you divorce your wife, saving for one exception, you cause her to commit adultery. Or you've been told you shall not commit murder. I tell you, if you're even angry in your heart with your brother, you've already committed it. So, what is morally perverted, warped, or twisted starts in the heart. And if it gets a hold, then you've already committed or transgressed the laws of our Creator. So watch yourself. Watch what you let into your heart and mind through these eyes. David says, I will set no evil thing before my face. And the word trust. The word trust is to trust or to rely on or to put your confidence. Are we confident in our Creator? Are we confident that He will pull our fat out of the fire? Are we confident that when we go to Him, if we have sinned, that He will forgive us? Verily, verse 3, trust in Yah and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Oh, and taking a look at all these food processing plants, I think the fed here means both physically and spiritually, because the physical doesn't go to the spiritual doesn't go too far if you are starving to death. If you take a look at the examples of our Creator, our Redeemer, with the multitudes, what's the first thing He did? He fed them. Well, what value is telling someone or trying to convince someone or teach someone about the ways of our Creator and His laws if they're starving to death? Anyway, verily is faithfulness, steadfastness, and truth, or truly. And the word delight in verse 4, to delight oneself, to be the word delicate or to enjoy. The word delicate, I believe, definition is tender love. I could use probably how a mother or father feel about a little newborn, okay? Or even how a husband feels about his wife. It's very tender. And that tenderness needs to be treated with delicate hands, heart and mind. The word commit in verse 5. Let's read verse 5. Commit thy way unto the Master, unto Yah. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. The word commit is to roll down, like rolling down a hill, or to roll away, or turn over. And Strong's continues to say, to commit trust is a figure of rolling care onto the Master. We're upset, concerned, irritated, watching what's going on. Your grandchildren being taught about, well, some people have two daddies or two mommies, or if you feel like a girl today, use the girl's room. If you feel like a boy, use the boy's room, whether you're a girl or a boy. This can be angry. And I guess it's okay to be angry, but don't let it become sin. Roll it over to our Creator. Let go of it. Let go of it. Because it will take root. The adversary is out there, and he will do all he can to make you trip up. Verse 7, rest. Rest in Yah and wait patiently for Him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. The word rest is to be still, to be silent, to be quiet, just to let it go. And verse 7, wicked. Did I miss something here? Okay. Now, and because of the man who bringeth wicked devices. Okay. The wicked is evil, but it also is focused on the ungodly. Now, the ungodly are evil, can be evil, usually are guilty, and one leads to wickedness. So Angelo was mentioning to me about it was a symposium over in Germany. There was a German fellow, Angelo. Yes, he was the one that spoke about the man rising from the dead. Yeah.
Oh, that was Yuri. They're on the same page. Remember his name? Yuri. I can't remember right now. But yeah.
He was saying that we got to get away from or cease this thinking about this or talking about this guy that came from the dead, raised from the dead. Well, these are wicked, ungodly people. They want to bring in a whole new scheme, if you will. Verse 7, devices. The word devices is better rendered scheme or plan, purpose or intent. Intent. Verse 8, cease. Now let's read verse 8. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. Okay, the word cease is to hang limp. It's interesting. Hang limp, sink down, be feeble, let go or forsake. Forsake anger and forsake wrath. Don't let it get the best of you. And the word meek means to be humble, afflicted, poor, or lowly, or oppressed. Basically, it means to be humble. Anybody recognize or remember any verses from Micah? What our Creator says is required. What I require of you, O man?
Seek justice, seek justice.
Dude,
Walk humbly.
walk humbly. To do justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly. This is not suggested, it is required. It's required of you, O man. Do you think that is required of those who are at the helm of this nation? Conversation, verse 14. The wicked have drawn out their sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such be of upright conversation. Conversation means way or path, a route, a road or journey, or by extension, way of life. Way of life. Verse 16, righteous. A little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. The righteous is the upright, a just man, innocent in accordance with the proper standards of Elohim. That is also can be tied in with verse 14, and that is manifest by way of life. And we have mentioned early on, verse 4, delight thyself also in Yah, and he shall give thee the desires of your heart. Whatever your prayer is, whatever your desire is, we have to make them known. Our Redeemer says, you do not receive because you do not ask. So number one, we have to ask. But the heart has to be right. He knows the heart. We can't get anything over on him. But in what ties in with verse 4 is delight thyself also in Yah, and he shall give you the desires of your heart, is James chapter 5, verse 6. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man or a woman availeth much. If you want your prayers heard, delight yourself in our Creator. Okay. And that's interesting. Psalm 91. Let's just turn there quickly. Verses 5 through 8. Now, most of us here understand that in one form or another, there's going to be problems. The end, we may be at the end times, we may be very, very close. But if we're not, if our Creator decides to hold this curtain up because there's more to come, we wouldn't be the first ones to think we are close. But that doesn't mean things are going to be honky-dory. It may get very bad. But remember this. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Okay? You shall not be. That's a command. Thou shalt not be afraid of us. He's telling us, don't be afraid of it. Okay? For 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come near unto you. So it's going to be frightening. The whole scene is not one you would sleep through. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. What verses does that bring to mind? Vengeance is mine. I will repay. You don't want to fall into his hand. Now, with all of this, we saw the good, we see the bad. Actually, we've seen the bad, and then we see the good. Let's turn to Romans. It's the book of Paul. Let's turn to Romans. My sweet wife says, honey, there is no book of Paul. No, you're right. She's absolutely correct. Anyway, chapter 8 of Romans is a wonderful chapter. I mean, all of Scriptures are wonderful. They're all good. I like Romans. Perhaps maybe it speaks to me louder than it does other verses and chapters, but let's pick it up in 31. Now, Paul has given a whole list of things that our Creator has done. Justification, glorification. We've been predestined, foreknown, picked out ahead of time. Not by the will of our parents or by the blood or by man, but by his will. And it's culminating in verse 31. What shall we then say to these things? All these things are coming to pass. If Elohim be for us, who can be against us? You've got to remember that. He that spared not his own son. Well, what value are we? Here is the Creator of the universe giving his son so that we would have eternal life, but delivered him up for us all. How shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of Elohim's elect? It is Elohim that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? It is Messiah that died, yes, rather that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of Elohim, who also makes intercession for us. The spirit's very willing, brethren. The flesh is weak. Okay? But if the weakness gets to the point of transgression, sin, what should we do? We go before our Father in the Messiah's name. He makes intercession for us. Who shall separate us from the love of the Messiah? What is the love of the Messiah? What is love? Love never fails. We can read that in the Scriptures too. Shall tribulation or distress, persecutions, famine, nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. What's more than a conqueror? We have overcome or conquered, or let's put it that, yeah, we have overcome or conquered Satan, not out of our own, but by the Spirit of our Creator. And we have resisted him. He has fled. He has made no inroads into us. Okay? So he's been conquered. But Paul says we're more than conquerors. What does that mean? Well, there may be many that see. I said to my wife, are we teachers? Will we be kings and priests? For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, neither height nor depth, nor any other creature that shall be able to separate us, that will be able to separate us from the love of our Elohim, which is the Messiah, Yahshua. So, brethren, what is all of this worth? Everything. If you were to put a price tag on it, what would you write on that tag? Exactly. You're reading my mind. That's not good. Now, we are of the same mind. We are of the same mind. So, brethren, he has given us, it is his pleasure to give us the world and everything in it by his grace. Praise Yah.